With the boring base coats out of the way, I'll be starting today's video with some very simple highlights. Nothing fancy. I will mark out any noticeable volumes on the skin with a lighter tone. Place a couple scratches on any pieces of clothing, and using the side of my brush, catch any raised details everywhere else. All of this will add further detail to the piece after applying the oil paints, for which it is important we stay away from darker colors, to get the most contrast out of them. And if the highlights seem a bit too rough, don't worry, the oil paints will take care of blending everything together. One could also skip these highlights and move straight into the oils after the base coats. If you want to see how that will turn out, I'll link above an old 2-minute video showcasing it. With the base coats and highlights ready, it is time to take out the oils, for which I'll start with my classic grim-dark muddy mix of green, brown and black. For the illusion, I am not going for something which will run through the recesses as a wash would, but something with enough viscosity to hold it in place. But I won't be applying this over all of the model. I'll instead focus on everything but the skin as best as I can. With everything covered up, I'll mix in a bit of magenta into what's left of my muddy tone, and use this color to cover up all of the skin, adding a more reddish lively hue to it. And just as I explained in my oil wash masterclass, we need to leave the oil paint to sit for around half an hour to an hour for the solvent I used to dilute the paints to evaporate. This will allow the oils to stain the surface, and provide us with extra layers of modulation we can work on. Don't worry if this sounds complicated, I'll show everything in the next step. But for now, it's the perfect time to grab a snack while the solvent evaporates before the true fun begins. Using a makeup sponge, I'll start to clean off the oils, and you'll see on one hand that the paint will remain over on the deeper shadows the sponge is unable to reach. On the other, the oils have tinted the surface in such a way that the rough highlights I painted are near invisible. That is great, as further down the paint job I'll choose where I want the paint to be cleaned off and reveal the true color underneath. For the next step, I'll take a soft synthetic brush and use it to blend any big clumps of oil in the shadows. Since this process has the brush pick up paint as well, it is important to unload it on a paper towel every 2 or 3 blends. Other than that, this is as simple as brushing around any areas that look a bit too rough to create a smooth transition. This is all possible thanks to the long drying time oil paints bring to the table. Because I'm working over such a small surface, the blending might push some extra paint over the highlights I just cleaned off, but it is nothing a quick pass with the sponge cannot fix. Time to deal with that stubborn layer of paint we created that the sponge isn't able to clean off. For it, I'll place a bit of solvent on my palette, and using a Q-tip, though making sure there is not too much solvent in there, I'll dilute and absorb the oils from whichever areas I wish to reveal the full color underneath. The Q-tip, being slightly big, makes sure that it doesn't get into the recesses and ruins any of the shadows. You can see how the Q-tip becomes more and more dirty as I poke and roll around any areas I want to clean or rather highlight. If you find the Q-tip creates a distinguishable line in between clean and unclean areas, just go back to the synthetic brush and some quick brush strokes will do the trick to smooth the transition. Just as with the previous step, where I clean with the sponge and blend it with the brush, we can go back and forth using the brush and the Q-tip in the same manner. Thank you for watching the video till the end. I hope you found it helpful, and if you have any questions about it, feel free to leave them in the comments, and I'll get to them shortly.